A text message sent late at night, December 15th, 2009, from a phone in a New York hotel room. Just a few words, but they read like a stifled cry for help. The last time was a mistake. It made me feel dirty and grimy. The sender was Cassie Ventura, a young singer caught in the dazzling orbit of the hip-hop world. The recipient, Sean Diddy Combs, the most powerful man in music, someone she once called the love of her life. But what happened in those locked rooms where secret parties known as freak-offs took place? And why, for over a decade, did no one dare speak of what lay hidden behind Diddy's glamorous facade? New York, the city that never sleeps, is where this story begins. In the late 2000s, the hip-hop industry was at its peak, defined by lavish parties, million-dollar deals, and secrets buried under money and power. At its heart stood Combs, a legend, a hitmaker, a man who could turn dreams into reality or crush them with a snap of his fingers. And Cassie, just 21, a young woman with big ambitions, stepped into his world with eyes sparkling with hope. She had a sweet voice, a radiant smile, and a dream of becoming a star. But behind the stage lights, what did she find? A love story or a nightmare with no escape. Cassie wasn't just a singer. She was a daughter, a friend, a woman searching for love and validation. Her text messages to Combs, revealed in the 2025 trial, paint a picture of a heart torn apart. One day she wrote, "I'm a very lucky woman," as if living a dream. But months later she confessed, "I don't need your money, I need some attention." Was she in love or trapped in a gilded cage? What were these freak-off secret events she described as leaving her feeling dirty? Were they consensual sex parties or a coercive scheme cloaked in Combs' power? Let's consider the possibilities. Maybe this was a consensual relationship where Cassie and Combs explored a wild lifestyle together, as Combs' side claims. Texts like, "I'm always ready to freak off lol" seem to support that. But what if she was manipulated, coerced by a man who could ruin her career in a single night? Prosecutors say Combs and his inner circle used violence, drugs, and threats to control her and another woman. Or perhaps this was just personal jealousy, with Combs lashing out when he suspected her of seeing others like rapper Kid Cudi in 2011. And what if this was a larger conspiracy, one designed to protect Combs' reputation with those around him, knowing the truth but staying silent? What chills me most is the contradiction in Cassie's own words. She called Combs her get-high partner, but also admitted he'd explode when she used drugs with others. She sent loving texts, but also poured out deep hurt. Was she trying to convince herself she was happy, or living in fear, hiding the truth even from herself? I can't help but think there's something bigger, darker lurking in those hotel rooms, a secret the music industry doesn't want anyone to touch. To understand this story, we need to go back to the beginning, when Cassie first stepped into Combs' world. A kiss at a birthday party in 2007 changed everything. But what happened next in those long nights at luxury hotels led her to that heartbreaking confession. Let's dig deeper, step by step, to uncover the truth, or at least the pieces of it. In 2007, Cassie Ventura, 21, stood under the glittering lights of her birthday party at a high-end New York club. The crowd cheered, champagne flowed, and at the center of it all was Sean Diddy Combs, the man the music world revered. When he leaned down and kissed her, it wasn't just a romantic moment. It was a fateful one, marking the start of a relationship that would pull her into a world of love, pain, and unspeakable secrets. From that night, Cassie entered Combs' orbit, and there was no turning back. Those early months shimmered with glamour. Cassie, with her long, glossy hair and sweet voice, was a rising star. She signed with Combs' label Bad Boy Records, and he became her mentor, her lover, and the one who controlled her life. Her texts from 2008 reflect an almost childlike adoration. "I'm a very lucky woman," she wrote. "I miss you so much I'd fly wherever you needed me." But beneath those loving words, the first signs of trouble were creeping in. Just weeks after the birthday party in October 2007, she sent another message. "I never seemed to make the right decisions to you." A 21-year-old girl trying to please the most powerful man she'd ever met. Then came the freak-off secret parties held in luxurious hotel rooms where Combs, according to Cassie, forced her and another woman into sexual experiences she never wanted. These rooms were meticulously prepared by Combs' staff: clean sheets, dim lighting, chilled champagne, and sometimes drugs. But no staff stayed when the parties began. No security cameras recorded. Just Cassie Combs, and secrets no one was allowed to know. In an August 2009 text, Cassie wrote, "I'm always ready to freak off lol," as if trying to sound casual. But by December that year, she confessed, "The last time was a mistake. It made me feel dirty and grimy, not sexual or spontaneous anymore. I'm nervous. I'm just becoming the girlfriend you get your fantasies off with." That confession was like a crack in the perfect glass of their relationship. The timeline rolls on with darker moments. In 2010, Cassie sent another message, her tone almost desperate. "I am really hurt by the way you deal with me. I don't need your money, I need some attention." She wanted a real relationship, not a power game. But Combs, per her testimony, wasn't the type to give attention without control. He was jealous, explosive whenever he suspected her of seeing others. In 2011, when Cassie briefly dated rapper Kid Cudi, Combs didn't just hit her, he threatened them both. Cassie ended things with Cudi, not because she wanted to, but because she feared what Combs could do. But the most haunting moment came in February 2012. After a freak-off and a night at the Playboy Mansion, Combs overdosed on opioids. Cassie, in a panic, rushed him to the hospital. She later testified he was heavily addicted, irritable, and violent without his fix. In the hospital, amid the beeping of heart monitors and the cold white light, Cassie stood by the man who shaped her life but was also destroying it. Did she think about leaving then? Or did she feel she'd gone too far to escape? The years that followed were a spiral of love, violence, and manipulation. In 2014, Cassie was furious when she learned Combs was involved with another woman referred to as Gina. She also admitted to jealousy over Kim Porter, the mother of Combs' 3 children who had passed away. But Combs wasn't just jealous, he was controlling. He demanded Cassie be exclusive to him while freely seeing other women. And then, in March 2016, an assault at the Intercontinental Hotel pushed things to a breaking point. Cassie testified that Combs hit her in act. He later claimed he didn't remember, due to being intoxicated. But texts from that time suggest he may have been going through withdrawal, a detail Cassie couldn't clearly recall. This gap between her memory and what the texts reveal is one of the case's biggest mysteries. The investigation leading to the 2025 trial was far from straightforward. Prosecutors accused Combs and his inner circle assistants, bodyguards, and friends of using violence, drugs, bribery, even arson and kidnapping to force Cassie and another woman into freak-offs. But there's no security footage, no direct witnesses, and no concrete documents revealed. Cassie's testimony is the case's cornerstone, but it's riddled with contradictions. She admitted she never told friends or Combs' staff about the freak-offs, too ashamed to speak. But she said friends saw Combs hit her, and her family, her parents and brother, knew of the abuse. So why didn't anyone act? And Combs' inner circle, the ones who set up those hotel rooms, how much did they really know? Let's break down the theories. First, prosecutors claimed this was a sex trafficking conspiracy with Combs at the center of a network using power to control women. Cassie's testimony about violence and freak-offs, plus the 2012 overdose, supports this. But the lack of physical evidence, like videos or documents, weakens the charge. Second Combs' side insists this was a messy but consensual relationship, fueled by drugs and jealousy. Texts like "I love freak-offs when we both want it" from 2017 seem to back them up, though. Cassie says those were just words to please Combs. Third, maybe it's simpler Combs' jealousy, like when he attacked Cassie over Kid Cutie drove his violence, not some grand scheme. But this doesn't explain the other woman's involvement or the role of Combs' staff. Finally, I wonder if this was a broader conspiracy to protect Combs' reputation. He was known for building a music empire, and any scandal could destroy it. The staff who set up rooms, the friends who stayed silent, could they be part of a cover-up system? What haunts me is the silence of those around Cassie. Friends saw her being hit, but no one dug deeper. Her family knew she was suffering, but no one could challenge Combs' power. And Cassie, with her shame and fear, kept her secrets locked away. I believe she wasn't just physically abused, but psychologically manipulated to the point she felt she had to agree to freak-offs to survive. That's not consent, that's survival. But to understand why the truth took so long to surface, we need to look at those left behind: her family, her friends, and the music industry itself, and how they reacted when the secrets began to spill. When Cassie Ventura took the stand in May 2025, she wasn't just facing Sean Combs and his team of lawyers. She was confronting a decade of pain, shame, and silence from those around her. Pregnant with her third child, with her due date just weeks away, she recounted her story with a haunting resolve. But what weighs on my heart is what she endured alone, even when those closest to her knew she was being broken. Her parents and brothers, she testified, had been told of Combs' physical abuse. Some friends even witnessed him strike her. But none of them knew about the freak-offs, not because they didn't care, but because Cassie was too ashamed to share. She locked her secrets away as if speaking them would strip away the last shred of her dignity. Think about it. Cassie, a young woman trying to build a career, was trapped in a relationship with a man who could destroy her with a single phone call. She sent loving texts to please him, but also wrote desperate words like, "I feel dirty and grimy." Her friends saw marks on her body, but perhaps they thought it was just part of the high life. Her parents and brother knew she was hurting, but maybe they felt powerless against Combs' influence. I can't imagine her loneliness, standing amid glittering parties surrounded by smiling faces, but no one truly seeing her. The 2025 trial, where Cassie finally spoke out, was a pivotal moment, but it was steeped in pressure. With her baby due soon, the court rushed the process, cutting lunch breaks short and demanding lawyers wrap up by Friday. During breaks, Cassie was handed an iPad to review old texts, words she wrote in her most vulnerable moments. Picture her sitting in the cold waiting room of the courthouse, reliving lines like, "I don't need your money, I need some attention." Those weren't just evidence, they were the story of a girl trying to find a way out. The media, which should have been a beacon for the truth, was strangely quiet. The trial wasn't televised per federal court rules. We only know what happened through CNN's reports, with journalists scribbling down every word from inside and outside the courtroom. There were no viral social media campaigns, no TV specials dissecting the case. It makes me wonder, is the music industry, with all its power and influence, trying to keep this story in the shadows? Combs wasn't just an artist, he was an empire. And that empire had plenty of people who wanted to protect it. But the impact of this case is starting to ripple. It reminds me of the another Me Too movement, when brave women stood up against abusers in power. Cassie isn't just speaking for herself, she's speaking for anyone who's ever felt trapped in a system bigger than them. This case could change how we view the entertainment industry, where lavish parties and million-dollar deals often hide horrifying truths. It also raises questions about how we treat survivors. Some might look at Cassie's texts like, "I love freak-offs when we both want it," and think she chose this path. But that's the scariest thing about manipulation. It makes you believe you want what's destroying you. Then, a new detail emerged, adding another layer to the mystery. Prosecutors mentioned another woman besides Cassie, who was also forced into freak-offs. We don't know who she is or what happened to her. But her existence suggests this story might be far bigger than what we see. How many other women walked into those hotel rooms and left with scars no one could see? And Combs' inner circle, the assistants who set up rooms, the friends who attended parties, how much did they know? I can't shake the feeling there's a web of silence held together by loyalty, money, or fear. This story isn't just about Cassie and Combs. It's about a system that lets powerful people act without consequence, while people like Cassie fight to be heard. But as we dig deeper, there are still questions, without answers, mysteries that may never be solved. Who really stood behind those closed doors, and what happens when the truth is finally laid bare? May 2025, and the New York courtroom became the stage for one of the most shocking cases in entertainment history. Sean "Diddy" Combs, once atop the music world, now faces life in prison if convicted of sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation for prostitution. Cassie Ventura, with extraordinary courage, laid her heart on the scales of justice, recounting years of abuse, manipulation, and being trapped in a world she couldn't escape. But as the courtroom lights dim, we're left with haunting questions, gaps that may never be filled. Let's recap what we know. Cassie described the freak-off secret parties where she and another woman were coerced into sexual acts under Combs and his inner circle's control. She shared about being beaten about the 2012 overdose and how Combs' jealousy flared whenever he felt he was losing control. Her texts, from loving to desperate, paint a picture of a relationship that was both love and a nightmare. But there's no security footage, no direct witnesses, and no physical evidence beyond her testimony. Combs' inner circle, the ones who set up hotel rooms, the friends who knew of his behavior, remained silent. And the second woman mentioned by prosecutors is still a nameless shadow. Who is she? And how many others walked through those doors carrying their secrets? I can't stop thinking about the chilling silence surrounding this case. Cassie's friends saw her being hit, but no one probed further. Her family knew she was suffering, but no one could stand up to Combs' power. And the music industry, with all its glamour, seemed to turn its back. The trial wasn't televised, media coverage was sparse, and there was no public campaign demanding justice for Cassie. It makes me wonder, is there a larger force, a system of power trying to keep this story in the dark? Combs wasn't just an individual, he was a symbol of an industry, and toppling him could shake an entire empire. But this case isn't just about Combs or Cassie. It's about all of us, how we treat survivors, how we let power obscure the truth. It reminds me of cases like Harvey Weinstein or R. Kelly, where victims fought for decades to be heard. Cassie, with her bravery, has opened a door. But where does that door lead? Maybe to justice, with Combs convicted and the entertainment industry forced to face its dark side. Or perhaps to an eternal mystery with questions like, who among Combs' staff knew the truth? How many other victims are still silent? And how could one man hide these secrets for so long? My personal reflection is this case isn't just a crime story. It's a warning about the power of manipulation, not just over victims, but over everyone around them. Cassie may have sent loving texts, but I believe she was trying to survive in a world where she felt she had no way out. The scariest part isn't what Combs did, but how an entire system, from staff to friends, from media to the industry, allowed it to happen. And that's what chills me. If this could happen to Cassie, a star with a spotlight on her, how many others are suffering in the shadows? Now, I want to hear from you. What do you think of this story? Was Cassie fully manipulated, or did she partly consent to Combs' lifestyle? Who in the music industry knew the truth but stayed quiet? And most importantly, how many other victims might still be waiting for their chance to speak? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to know what you're thinking. And if you want to dive deeper into the secrets of the rich and powerful, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Because trust me, this story is just the tip of the iceberg. Thanks for being here, my amazing detectives. Stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.